The most poignant of all of them, which I'll focus on today, was when we grew above 8 to 10 people. The realization that I wasn't the best person for the job anymore was a big one. And that was one of those significant moments of growth and change where I had to invest in myself.
And ultimately, jump onto the business. It sounds like this has knocked on like business impact as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've regained passion for what I do, and I think I lost that for a bit. I'm no longer scared because I know what we're capable of as a team.
So if like founders listening think, oh, I like the idea of like this sort of self-development journey, or sort of this iteration from myself 1.0 to 2.0, 3.0, what's sort of the first step or one thing you'd share with people around doing that?
Having yourself in the conversation means you have your vulnerability in the conversation, you have your flaws in the conversation, you have your expertise and your strong set of skills in the conversation. You just got to bring your whole self to the conversation.
Hi, I'm James Johnson, founder and CEO coach. This is the Peer Effect podcast, where you'll learn how to 10x your business. One thing we often don't think about is how our personal development can impact our business performance. I've been so excited to bring Kate on the show today. Kate's a client of mine, and we've been working together for 3 years, and she's been on the most amazing personal journey. She runs an amazing business in Bristol called Noble Performance, doing some very cool stuff around SEO and all the way it's changing at the moment. Let's jump in. Kate, welcome to the show. So, Kate, I learned something new about you recently.
Yikes, what was that?
that you've become a ceramicist.
I have recently become a ceramicist, yes.
Well, for people who don't know what is a ceramicist and what's going on?
Essentially, I did some pottery throwing last year, and to say that it's the best form of escapism is an understatement, because when that thing is whizzing around on the middle of a plate in front of you, aka the clay, you really can't think about anything else. And it was great. I absolutely loved it. And when I was setting New Year's resolutions this year with my husband, we both sat down and went, we need to get a hobby back.
Yeah.
Like, we've thrown ourselves into work, we've thrown ourselves into being parents, and we both need a hobby. And it is September, and I still had not necessarily taken on board my hobby. So my husband bought me a ceramicist wheel for my birthday, and it is now my new favourite thing to do.
And just to be clear, pottery throwing is not what it sounds like. It sounds like you are throwing pottery at people. Is that a technical term?
Not today, I'm not.
Best stress relief ever.
Best stress relief ever. No, it is literally throwing the clay onto the wheel and then turning it into, hopefully, a delightful looking piece of ceramics to give to people. So sorry, all of my friends and family, but you know what you're getting for Christmas.
And you'll love it.
You will. I think they will. I'm feeling there's a natural talent in here. Maybe. We'll find out.
And so, completely away from pottery, I mean, we're here today about sort of your change, not just around pottery, but around sort of how you've developed and what that's meant for your business. We've been working together for a while. We've sort of called it Kate 2.0.
I think we're on 3.0 now, actually.
We might be.
I think we've even gone that far. Or in the workings of 3.0. But yeah, she's developed over the years.
Because I mean, you've grown Noble Performance from like right from the outset to where it is today. Mm-hmm. What's led to then deciding to like do these changes?
Great. Yes. Okay. So I'm really glad you've asked that question. There were lots of, I think, moments in time that were very significant. And I think the most poignant of all of them, which I'll focus on today, was when we grew above 8 to 10 people. Before that, it was everybody just mucking in together. We were all in the room. We were all able to wear multiple hats. We were saying yes to everything. It was scrappy, but it was great and it was fun. And I think when you get to 10 people, you can't wear all those hats anymore, because you break the business if you do. Growth slows down. You become a bottleneck. People get frustrated in the team and outside the team. And the realization that I wasn't the best person for the job anymore was a big one. And that was one of those significant moments of growth and change where I had to invest in myself and my personal development for the better of the team and their livelihoods and our clients and their KPIs and goals and missions and visions and for myself as well, because there was a lack of balance during that period that I needed to regain.
Because it's quite interesting, like, people often think about this as the work on themselves, something they're doing for themselves. But it's quite interesting that you put sort of your team first, then the business, and actually the benefits to you were kind of third.
Yeah, and I know that we've worked quite a lot on me being the center and that being the thing that permeates out to everybody else like a ripple effect. But I suppose the lesson there, outside of how I ordered it, is that as a leader in a business, you impact everything around you in so many different ways. And so if you aren't working on yourself and if you aren't progressing yourself, you're ultimately letting everybody else down. And you need to be thinking about that as an important part of what you invest in as a leader, I think.
Well, perhaps we can look at each of those three bits separately, because it feels like the business has obviously done really well. You had like sort of your family's going, like, how have those positive impact? Like, what would the team say about this change to Kate 3.0?
I would say I'm probably less stressed, and that they probably don't. That probably really helps them a lot, because if you don't allow yourself to think about what are my trigger points, what are the things that I am holding on too tight to, what should I be delegating, what's my role now? I mean, I used to write my new job description every 6 months during some of my periods of change, because my job description was changing that rapidly because we were growing that quickly. And so, yeah, I think they definitely don't feel my anxiety as much. And I think that's a big part of the change. But they also feel autonomy. And I think that was a really great moment for them, because they felt that I trusted them and that they could have the autonomy to crack on and do what they needed to do without me needing to be too close. And that was because of the work. That wasn't because I woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm no longer a control freak. You know, I had to, you know, work on letting go of some things for the betterment of the growth of the company.
There's a sense of like some of the changes you'd wanted to make anyway because of other benefits, but some of the changes, some of the behavior before was appropriate for the stage of business. So actually recognizing that appropriate behavior for like a business of up to 8 people. Yeah. Suddenly, once you're going past that tipping point,
you got to shed that skin, James. Got to let go of it and rebuild some new skin. It's got weird, but no, you do have to look and go. Actually, those behaviours are no longer appropriate for where we are now. You know, we no longer want to say yes to everything. We now want to be a lot more selective, a lot more specific about what we want to bring in and what we don't. I think I personally loved the experience of growth, and I still love the experience of growth. I'll always grow. It's all part of our ethos, be better. You know, I'll always enjoy growing. And actually the bits I enjoy the most is when it's most stressful and there's the most amount of pressure, because in those moments I feel like we grew so much and we changed so much. And obviously it wasn't sustainable growth, but it was good in those moments because you leapt so high up in your own personal growth. Nobody wants to stay sat still in the same place. And it was great to be able to really invest in looking at what do we need to change about who we were as a company then? What do we need to change in the ways that we do things, our processes, our meetings, our ways of working together, and then how are we going to implement that to be who we are now when we grow up? So actually, Kate 3.0 or 2.0.
2.0 to 3.0. But it sounds like the team experienced you differently, but also that had a big knock on for like how they experience their own roles differently. Like it sounds like it gave them more space to do their roles, maybe more enjoyment, and ultimately jump onto the business. It sounds like this has knocked on like business impact as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't be there for everybody in every moment of the day, and actually nobody thrives in that kind of environment. I don't think we've ever really been a micromanagement kind of culture at Noble anyway, but giving the team the trust to really do their own roles and own their own roles and own their own initiatives was brilliant. I think we're a traction agency, and I think that helped a lot in us being able to add structure to that, because I think the fear of any leader in that moment is lack of structure and lack of touch points and lack of having your finger on the pulse. And I think by adopting some of the traction methodology, we were able to make sure that we had structure in the giant step back that some of us took to allow the team to thrive and grow in that moment. And I think without that, we would have done it differently in another way, I'm sure, but it really helped us get there a bit faster, and helped our thinking around it develop faster as well.
So it wasn't sort of no control, it was just a different type of control.
Yeah, 100%. Just you just have different KPIs that you're measuring to see how success feels. And in the early days, it might be how much revenue did you make that week. In the later days, it might be how much revenue have you got forecast for the next year. You know, you just grow up in your thinking around what's important to the business and how you should be measuring the success. But I think you have to be measuring the success. You can't just step back and leave it to it. Like, then it will fall down too. And I think that's the biggest balance piece between delegation. It's like delegating, but knowing when you still need to step in and be there. And there's what KPIs can help you as a leader to know the balance between those two different things.
And then in terms of, have you seen a shift in profile of like client types, or in what way?
Oh, we're working with clients now that I never thought we would be working with even a year ago. We've completely changed our model. We're a lot more strategic. And I think the reason, not the only reason, but part of the reason for that was that we looked at ourselves from a value-based perspective a couple of years ago. And, you know, you grow quick, scrappy, again, using that word, you can sometimes lose a sense of those values or who you are as a business. And I think in looking back at those values, we realized that the clients we were attracting or we were going after weren't necessarily in the profile that we wanted. We really worked on our ICP. We really looked at the markets that we felt that we could add the most value to as a company. And that shift in perspective has really helped. And I think the one that I hold dearest, there was a lot that I put down in my values because I'm one of those people that kind of wants everything. But there was a couple that were really important to me. It was really high expectations was a big one on my list that I didn't realize I had. But the level of quality was more important to me than so many other things. And I think quality and curiosity were the two that were the biggest. And aligning that with our name, which is Noble, meant that I had 3 really strong values that I wanted to push forward within the business, and luckily the business also aligned with as well. And coming back to those values really helped us to completely reposition ourselves, completely go after a different client profile and change our business very quickly, actually.
Do you feel that sort of shift to Kate 3.0 shifted your values at all? And did you want to like rebalance the business values to your own values? I
think there was a meeting in the middle there. I think there were business values that were built in that I was attracted to Noble from the beginning because they aligned so well with who I was as a person. So I think that that helped. I think it was more just revisiting them, actually. I think in your values are there as a person most of the time. You've got them in your core. You already know what you value the most. And actually another one's just come to mind now I'll tell you about that in a second. Yeah. But, you know, I think they exist. It's just going back to them, because when you're busy getting the job done, you're busy growing the business, sometimes you forget them. And it can be a really great activity to do when you're growing quickly, to go back to those and make sure that you're still there and you're still thinking about them and you're still aligned to them.
I suppose like clarifying your own values and then just checking that your business is still align with them as well. It hasn't drifted away from them.
Yeah, I found that a really helpful activity. Really, really helpful. The one that I was just remembered was integrity, and I read an article by Steve Parks recently on this, and it was all about the speed of trust within your business. And this was a big one that came up for me alongside curiosity and being noble, and I've forgotten, and this quality piece was the integrity. And I love it because he basically says the speed of your business growth is the speed of the trust within your business. If you all trust each other, it's going to happen faster. If there's anybody in your business that is potentially not giving off the right trust vibes, for lack of a better term, I'm going to make that a term. There we go. Then, that it's going to slow things down. And I really loved that one. And it's one that I often think about even now, is around the speed of the trust within our agency. And that doesn't just go for trust within the team, it's also trust within clients. We've all had those clients that don't trust what you do, don't believe in what you do, and are they slowing us down? Are they the right clients for us?
So it applies like internally and externally.
Yeah, and we're big on that at Noble. Our ethos is be better every day, and that's internal and external. How can we be better for ourselves? How can we take on a hobby, for example, to give ourselves balance? But then how can we be better for our team, better for our clients, and so on?
So in terms of personally, how's sort of Kate 3.0 benefited you personally?
In loads of different ways. But I think the biggest is stress management and balance and perspective. I think probably the key ways. I don't get as scared about things anymore. And I think that's to do with having maybe that's just having had experience. just getting a bit older and living through it teaches you that. But I think I've regained passion for what I do, and I think I lost that for a bit. I'm no longer scared because I know what we're capable of as a team, and I've been forever astounded by how fab my team is and how they can band together under all circumstances. So I've become less fearful, and I've just got excited again, and I have balance at home. I always did focus on quality time with my family, but I'm no longer then switching back into, all right, I'm going to go work until 11 o'clock at night. And, I don't say that doesn't happen, but
you're a founder.
Maybe not all the time in the way that, maybe it did before. So I think, I would say the biggest thing for that would be perspective. I just have a totally different perspective on things than I did when I was Kate 1.0.
And what do you think is the biggest shift in that perspective?
What do you think has been the biggest shift in that perspective? Just the ability to reflect and work on who I am and how that influences everything that I do every day. Because you don't build a business completely with a clean slate. You bring so much of your own experiences in life into who you are in building that business, and some of it, none of it's wrong, but some of it might just need a bit of work. And I think if you don't give yourself the space to really consider things that may impact your decision making as a founder, then you aren't giving yourself a fair chance, really.
Because you also mentioned this idea of like putting yourself at the center, and also like part of this is like evolving who you are. Which do they work together, or which do you think is more important, like the evolution or the recognition that maybe you are at the center?
Ooh. Still working on me at the center, I think. It's all a work in progress, though, isn't it? I think I think those two things complement each other. I think they work if you can have them work in balance and in harmony with each other, then you're doing all right.
Yeah,
I think.
Because
my answer to that.
I think people often think putting themselves at the center can sound a bit selfish or at the detriment of other people. But it sounds like that has not been your experience in terms of impact on the people around you.
No, because if you're in a good state of mind and you're healthy and you're happy and whatnot, which we can't, that sounds a little bit too unrealistic. You're not always going to be all of those things. But if you're working towards most of the time being healthy and happy and motivated and passionate and everything else that would encompass being a happy human, then that's only going to ripple out to the people around you. If you put yourself on the outer circle, so if you put, family, friends, work, finances before yourself, I don't even know how that works. Backwards.
Not for very long.
No. It wouldn't.
But it's quite interesting, because we've got quite a trendy concept at first, because it can feel a little bit like, I had one client talking about, actually, sounds like I don't need to compromise then. It's like, that's actually not what it means. It doesn't mean do everything your way. It just means maybe have yourself in the conversation.
Yeah, and having yourself in the conversation means you have your vulnerability in the conversation, you have your flaws in the conversation, you have your expertise and your strong set of skills in the conversation. You just got to bring your whole self to the conversation and not be worried about it. And that took a really long. I'm still working on that. I'm definitely still working on that. But I think so long as you can come with your whole self, then
you're
doing all right.
And part of this is also acknowledging that you can be awesome, right? Like, so it's like we feel like, oh well, I haven't done it for a while, or I need to step back away. But actually, there's often a reason why people are in your business, and that's you. Like, you've built your business to a certain stage. You've attracted people to your business. You continue to attract people to your business, both team and clients. Just, I think, particularly being British. I mean, maybe some sort of less issue with other cultures, but certainly being British, like, oh, maybe I'm not all that good. But actually, acknowledging that you are brilliant.
I'm definitely not going to acknowledge that. Far too British for that. I mean, I guess for those listening, wherever you are in the car or at home, Noble is a US company, so I do sometimes get the energy from the US team, which can be maybe a little bit more that way, where you can think in that mindset. And sorry, Americans on the phone, I don't mean to say that you're only optimists. I know that that's not equally the case, but I think, it's just giving yourself a break and recognizing that you're doing everything that you can, and it's okay to put yourself at the center, and it's okay to think that you're awesome every once in a while, if that's what you want to do. I struggle with that, but hey, there's something for our next coaching session. It's hard though, isn't it? Like, as a founder leader, you hope that people are attracted to coming to working for the business because the energy is good or the culture is good or that. But to think it's got to do with you sometimes can be a really hard thing to think about.
Well, I think as you become more seen, like, you get less and less feedback, don't you? People don't tell you the good. They very rarely tell the good stuff, but also they probably don't tell you the bad stuff enough either. You are operating in an information vacuum, which can be tricky. Like, obviously, a lot of founders sense of, oh, no one's actually told me well done in probably about 3 years. Like, well, who's going to?
And I think sometimes it depends on your personality, what you need, right? If you're a person that has done a self-reflective leadership activity that knows that you need a certain thing in your life, maybe do you need somebody to tell you that you're awesome every single day? You know who you need to hire next, I guess. But you don't get very much, and actually, you don't need. Well, again, it's up to each person what they need. But I think I switched hats, and again, maybe this was 2.0 to 3.0 or 1.0 to 2.0, who knows, where actually I just wanted the team to thrive. And it was that shift from being, because I grew up as an SEO, it was that shift from being the doer into the coach, and being able to really champion their excellence as opposed to mine, I guess.
I think that's really hard. As you found, struggle with that sense of you get rewarded for doing a good job. Often then you start a business because you were good at doing, and then you get to a stage where you're no longer doing. It's all about other people, and that's something like, well, where's the endorphin rush? Where's the validation? All the things that you're like suddenly taken away, and like that shift into like team development, team delivery, that being the thing. It feels like a necessary shift to move from like being a founder to a CEO.
100% a necessary shift. But then it's interesting because I think you can. This is where you hold the passion, right? How do you hold the passion for the thing you grew up doing? And it's a great time to be alive in SEO right now and in search. And as a leader within the business, I'm still able, as being I'm primarily responsible for sales. So I still get to get my hands dirty a little bit, because I get to really dig into the latest and greatest things that are happening in the industry, what the team is up to, how they're implementing new strategy. Every once in a while, they let me get into the strategy. It doesn't last very long. But I have fun whilst I'm there. But, I think, and I guess that's the balance piece, right? Don't pull yourself out so far that you don't remember why you got into it in the first place. But also shifting hats from wearing all of the hats to wearing 3 of the hats. And one of them's a coach now. And you need to watch Ted Lasso if you haven't done that.
It's got a very weird image of you with a very dodgy Ted Lasso moustache there for a second.
I mean, I'd love to tell you that that's never happened, but it has at an away day with my team. We even had the Believe sign above the door. But...
Amazing. Did it crack?
No.
Amazing. Well then.
Yeah, we didn't hit it hard enough, apparently.
But I think what's quite interesting there is, I was going to the pottery example. I think it can be, as a leader, you step away from all the things that you enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And actually, like you've done pottery, okay, let's add some stuff back in. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to acknowledge like what you enjoy, getting involved. Getting involved with the strategy is something that is sort of adds value to your clients, but also is high enjoyment for you. Mm-hmm. Putting some of that stuff back in, because often you can get dragged across into the lower enjoyment bit. Yeah. Because you feel that's where you ought to do.
Yeah, and also because maybe you feel as a leader like I should take on the bad jobs because I should protect my team from always doing them. I don't think that's the truth. And also, you're going to go through periods that are going to be tough. I think every agency under the sun in the last few years has gone through a spell of, tough times. And in those moments, lean in even more to the fun, because you've got to make sure that you give yourself that every day, even if it's one task that you consider to be back in that passion place. That's going to keep the flame alive and keep you enjoying what you do, even when it's a bit tough.
So if like founders listening think about, I like the idea of like this of self-development journey, or sort of this iteration from myself 1.0 to 2.0, 3.0. Mm-hmm. What's sort of the first step or one thing you'd share with people around doing that?
It's a really interesting one to debate, because I think everybody's different and everyone's going to go on their own path in different ways. So I'll just tell you how I did it, and that might give somebody on the call today an idea. But start writing it down was my first step. Started writing endless pages around things that I was thinking about, how I wanted to move forward with various aspects of the business, things that annoyed me, things that I really loved. And then reading as much as you can around your own development. I think about leadership books that I've read over the years. There was the Dare to Lead ones from the Brené Brown era, through to the traction model things, which was a different take on leadership, but still really helpful. Through to books that you don't even think are going to give you leadership advice, through to watching Ted Lasso. I mean, everyone finds it in their own ways. And then there's obviously, working with you over the last 3 to 4 years has been probably the biggest thing that has pushed me in certain directions I wasn't expecting to go. And I think whether it's a coach or a mentor or somebody that you just inherently trust, it's just having that sounding board. Could be a dog, could be sorry, that's could be inappropriate.
Could be a coach, could be Ted Lasso, could be a dog. I mean,
whoops, I knew I was going to mess up. No, but honestly, everybody, I don't think I could give you a cookie cutter example of how to do it. It's just trying one thing, see if it works. You could just get very into meditation. That could be the thing, We talk about going to the gym, yoga being a crucial part of our, physical need to cope with stress and management of stress. So I think so long as you just keep a curious mind, which is another one of my values, and you keep open-minded to trying different things to see what fits and what doesn't. There's just too many things out there these days. So you can't expect to put the ball on and each one of them fits or works, or you need to.
And I suppose you could be willing to take that first step as well, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe for instance, like, well, I suppose for everyone that first step's different. I mean, that feels like a whole different conversation. Like what caused you to take that first step? But I think this has been super useful though. I mean, just the idea around how what people can think is a almost self-indulgent process, like looking after myself, actually has the benefits, you say, for team, for business, for self and family, for clients. Like it's something that pays off in every area of life once you start to do it. Yeah,
the strategies that you adopt and learn as you go through the process of becoming a different leader. It's not a better leader, it's just a different leader. You apply them all over the place. I apply them with my daughter, I apply them with my husband, my mum and dad. Like, they become strategies that you adopt in so many different parts of your life. So I think it's just an investment in you, and that's going to be many years of paying off, I would say.
So do you think then that if you asked sort of your board, your husband, your daughter, your parents, like your team, they'd all go, we're glad you've spent this time getting to Kate 3.0?
I think so. I don't know how many of them know that I've been doing it, apart from my husband. I think obviously he knows everything that I get up to, but I don't know. Yeah, I think they would. I think they would definitely see the change, whether or not they knew where the change had come from. I think they would be. Yeah, I don't even know who I was 3 years ago. I was definitely a different person then.
Amazing.
Outside of the core things, which I think don't change.
Okay, thank you so much for this. I think the takeaway, like say, how it can impact everything is super helpful. Thank you for taking the time, and I look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks for having me.
That was such a great episode with Kate today. I loved her takeaway around how like the personal journey can impact everything, like your team, your work, your family, not just yourself. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday with another founder episode. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch, you can at hello@peer-effect.com. See you next week.